You know what? I don't care. I've tried fixing glare in my glasses, and I don't have the setup. This is the first video, and I'm not fixing it. So, whatever. Hi, I'm Wendy. I have decided it's time to start my next phase of my health journey, and I have decided to record it. So I figured I would start with an introductory video letting you know where I've been. I weighed 110 pounds in the 5th grade. I weighed 190 pounds when I graduated high school. For most of my adult life, I weighed 250 pounds. I'm 5'2". I have seen 280 3 times. I've lost the weight 4 times maybe. Plateaued at 200. The last time I saw 280 was in January of 2018. I was laid off from my job of 12 years, 4 months after I found out my mom was terminal. She had pancreatic cancer. She was given 2 to 5 years, but she died later that year, October of 2018, 13 months after diagnosis. My mom was a type 1 diabetic, and she expected to have a short life. That's what everybody told her the moment she found out at 16. She was also told not to have kids because it was, dangerous back in the 70s. But she was still the healthiest person in the family, and she died at 61. With me and my weight problems, I wasn't sure I was going to live to see 61. And I knew I had to make a change. So I started with not going back to corporate America. I started a pet service business that I later lost in 2020. Yay, COVID. Luckily, I was also working as a caregiver to help me stabilize my income, and I continued doing that. The lady I was working for had Parkinson's and a PhD in neuropsychology. Yeah. And I could not keep up with her. Really sad. I couldn't keep up with her. She practically lived on the floor. Getting up and down off of the floor was not easy. I think I was 250 at the time when I started working for her. But anyways, I am undiagnosed on this stuff, but I probably have arthritis in my feet. Joints are stiff in the morning. They get better as the day goes on. Not so much a problem anymore. However, it has been here recently. I'll get to that in a minute. I do have PCOS, and I'm probably in one of those pauses. And we also probably have a very long line of undiagnosed neurodivergence in our family amongst the women. But I don't want to go get diagnosed with any of this stuff because I don't want to be on any of the meds. I think we are overprescribed on meds, and I'm not really sure any of them are actually helping. They kind of mask the symptoms but don't fix the root cause. By January of 2021, I was sitting around 240, and my weight had not changed in a long time. I wasn't really trying to lose weight, but I had managed to lose about 40 pounds at that point. I did know diets don't work. They're not sustainable long term. So I was trying not to do the whole counting calories and all of that stuff. But the smart gurus believed on one thing at that point. Agreed. Maybe they believed. I don't know. Sugar. Sugar is a problem. So I decided to cut sugar. I was putting chocolate milk in my coffee. It was pretty good. You should try it. Except you don't want to eat sugar. But whatever. I started lessening that. I really didn't eat a whole lot of sweets at that point. But I did still eat out a lot. And when I started paying attention to sugar. I started reading labels, and a lot of processed foods have sugars in them. So I started cutting out processed foods, and I started cutting out fast foods. And before I knew it, I was eating mostly meat, vegetables, and dairy. And about 5 months later, I realized I was no longer eating breakfast because I wasn't getting hungry. I was still cooking it, I was taking it to work with me, but I wasn't eating it until 12, 1 o'clock. So I started looking into intermittent fasting because weren't we all taught that we had to eat like 5, 6 meals a day to be healthy? Apparently not. So I read all of Dr. Jason Fung's books. Sorry about that. And decided to start fasting. So I started with cutting out the chocolate milk from my coffee, because at that point I would have been fasting 16 hours a day if I had already dropped that. So I switched to black coffee, which was actually way easier than I thought it would be. I was only down to about a tablespoon of milk at that point, so it was pretty easy. And I lost weight slowly. I once again plateaued at 200. That was the spot my body never wanted to go below, but I kept going. First time I kept going. I usually got discouraged and gave up and went back. I kept going. Finally, on March 8th of 2022, I was finally able to say I was in Wonderland. Took, how many years did that take? Too many. So, anyways, continued going. Kept fasting, kept eating mostly real foods, mostly meat, vegetables, dairy. I wasn't 100% on my foods. I did still eat out. I still did eat the carbs. I still did all of the things. I still had the cake if it was somebody's birthday or if I just wanted some cake. But for the most part, I ate clean foods. I saw 170 for the first time in October of 2023. So I'm losing weight pretty slow, but that's okay. Kept it off mostly. You'll understand here in a minute. But 170 was the new number that I was getting stuck at. I would get down to 163. That was the lowest I saw on the scale, but I would immediately go back to 170. Couldn't really get below it. And of course, 162 is the magic number that gets me out of obesity. One of these days, I'm going to see it. I'm going to be able to say it. So, after I got down below 200 is when I started working out, but not consistently. I'm still not really consistent. I do walk every day, but I've got a total gym, and I can't seem to get myself to consistently use it. Also do yoga sometimes. One of these days, I'm going to get the workouts going. That's the next phase, by the way. So when the scale stopped this time at 170, I knew that I needed to do the mental work. I knew. Everybody does. So I can tell you body dysmorphia was real. What are we at? 9 minutes. I'll see if I can get a before and after photo in right here. If not, I'll put it at the end. I do know I can put it at the end. The before picture, I don't know exactly how much I weighed. I'm willing to bet I was closer to 300. The after picture on this, I was at 196. And it took those two photos side by side next to each other for me to be able to see any of the weight loss. I still felt like I was 280, 300 pounds. So first thing I had to overcome was the body dysmorphia. And it improved with time and mirror work, actually looking at myself, doing the side-by-side photo comparisons. Same shirt comparisons actually really helped. That's what the before and after photo is. You could see it. There was no denying it in those photos. So I also had to change my mindset, stop with a lot of the negative self-talk, you know, beating yourself up, telling yourself stupid, you're wrong, you're whatever, I don't know. Got to change it because you're not any of those things. You got to start questioning it. Where'd that come from? Whose voice is that? Because it's not yours. You don't talk to your friends like that. Why are you talking to yourself like that? So stop that negative shit. Tell them to shut up. That's the last thing I have on that note card. Had to do some more positive talk to myself to get me to finish it, because the next thing on my list is perfectionist. That ran deep in the family. My mom, I actually wasn't taught a lot of stuff growing up because my mom was such a perfectionist that she had to do everything perfectly and didn't teach me anything. So, yeah. But I had to learn that. I actually learned that one a long time ago. I'm still not 100% with it, who is, but my house got a whole lot cleaner and I lost 110 pounds when I stopped trying to be perfect. So, there you go. Also have those people pleaser tendencies. And of course, depression and anxiety. You know, I was 280 pounds, 300. I highly recommend reading The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. The lady I was a caregiver for did actually confirm that I had PTSD. I had my first flashback when I was 18. So processing that was a lot of work. There's still some holes and some shadows in there, but I'm not crazy. So that's cool. All right, so did a whole lot of head work. April of 2025, so last year, I was at 173. I had actually maintained the 110-pound weight loss for almost 2 years. I knew I needed to move on. I needed to get consistent with my working out. But I had another bad habit, and that was smoking. I decided to quit smoking on May 12th of 2025. And as of yesterday, I am 10 months smoke-free. So, yay, me. Only did that for, I don't know, 20, 30 years. Yeah, exactly. Now today, I saw 203 on the scale. So I did put 30 pounds back on in the last 10 months. I'm okay with that. And by the way, I saw 208 a couple weeks ago. So I've already started losing it again. It's going to come off. Progress is happening. I have no problem with it. I quit smoking. So now I need to work on finding balance with weight loss and working out, sustainability, keeping it sustainable, and life. Because I don't want to go too hard on counting calories, cutting calories. I still don't really want to, weigh and measure my food all the time. I don't want to do that. But I do know, even with fasting, you need a calorie deficit in order to lose weight. So, okay, give and take. Got to work on it. Got to figure out how to keep it sustainable. Need to continue fighting the food noise and the emotional eating without the cigarette. The cigarette was doing a lot of that. It's where a lot of the 30 pounds came from. But I'm going to lose it again. It's okay. And also finding out what actually works when you can't trust all the studies, because our data is cherry-picked to fit whatever conclusion they want it to be. Now, I have been alternating between OMAD and 2MAD here recently. That's what's helping to get the weight down. I have been fasting for years, and I gravitate towards OMAD just because it's the easiest thing to do. But I think when I do it long term, I'm not getting enough nutrients. But I think when I open it up to 2MAD, I still eat too much because I never really drop down the portion control, didn't have to when I was doing OMAD. So I think alternating the two seems to be working right now. I did 2MAD today, I did OMAD yesterday, I'll do OMAD tomorrow, and we'll see how that works for me for now. I'm sure I'll have to adjust it later. Cause yeah. So I don't want to set a weight loss goal. I don't want to pick a number on the scale. I want overall health. I don't want to say I need to get down to this weight and then not achieve it and feel like I failed later. So, although I do want to be able to say I'm not obese. So, hopefully I can get down to at least 162. Hopefully. Focuses are on gut health. I need to cut out some lectins because they are causing inflammation right now. My feet are flaring up again, and I went several years without having problems with my feet except for when I ate bad. But it's been bothering me pretty consistently for about a month now, and I need to lock down my eating to help with that. Also need to up my polyphenols, my vegetables, basically, and get the workouts going. Now, I have been walking consistently. I did pick that up when I stopped smoking. I will try to get a step tracker, a photo in there. Moment I stopped smoking, I did start walking. So it's kind of interesting. Like, my activity completely increased when I stopped smoking, but I still gained 30 pounds. Probably emotional eating. Wasn't actually tracking my fast. Haven't tracked my fast in years. So, and I'm not planning on tracking them now either. Just do OMAD and 2MAD, alternate, eat when I'm hungry. Don't eat when I'm not hungry. Try that anyways. So, all right. Thank you. Have a good day.